Hello, welcome back. My name is Aladino, and together with my wife Maya, we are refitting a Cape George Cutter 36. My visa here in the USA is about to end, so we are on the last sprint to get things prepared to move the boat to Canada and continue the refit there.
What to even say?
Huh?
I mean, I don't know, like the refit continues, the boat doesn't have to go into the water right away, so on one side we don't have to stress too much. On the other side, things are going to get considerably harder when we're in Canada because we don't have an additional place to live at the moment. Maybe we'll figure something out still. We don't have a workshop. We don't know where we're putting our tools. Like, there's so much sort of unknown, and the project, instead of sort of, coasting nicely to the end, is in fact going to get more difficult.
Yeah, but that's why the big goals are trying to do some fairing on the cabin sides, because ideally I would like to put in the portholes and also the cabin top so that we can install the hatch frames and the hatches, just to waterproof and to not have rain inside the boat. That's one big thing, and the other thing is, now that we received the fiberglass hatches, to also finish glassing the aft deck, putting in those hatches, putting on more bulwarks. We'll see how much we can cover this week.
This was a difficult chapter, looking back now at this frenzied time just before the move, working long days, wondering if the boat would be ready, losing sleep, wondering if we were forgetting anything, wondering if the move is the right idea, wondering if any of this is the right idea, watching ourselves spin like hamsters in the never-ending cycle of work. This boat has demanded so much. It continues to demand so much, and I felt myself slowly getting run over by it, crippled by the never-ending feeling that this is all never-ending. But it all has to happen step by step. The only other option is to quit entirely, and so we kept moving step by step, tiny little beans, running around, running out of time, running into a distant, hazy dream of a future. Wow, that was like Tai Chi level slowness and strength.
Yeah,
well
that's
done.
the thing. It's not just lifting, and it's about the slow movement.
Yeah.
So yeah, now you guys can see why all the customization.
Yeah.
Otherwise you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow.
Well, that looks pretty
nice.
good. Yeah, that's nice.
Beautiful.
And soon we can install the sink, because when the sink goes in, then I can varnish this trim here.
And then we can put in the faucet, and then we can put in
Yay.
our espresso maker, then the chart
And
table.
actually, yeah, any moment, well, not any moment, let me paint the chart table first white, and then we can put in the drawers and the table and the chart table top. Those are done as well.
Yeah. First, also though, I decided to counteract the weight of the galley, because in the galley we got the holding plate for the fridge, we got the stove, we got more things so far than over here. So we've ordered a Lifeline battery, and that's going to be the starter, which goes here. So I made a little floor for it, so I'm just waiting for the hardware, like a strap, to actually attach it. Also, just having a table now and the compound miter set up makes it easier to use the track saw, so I'm trying to cut out as many pieces of plywood that we still need. This one is for in the cockpit locker. It's the floor that will house the compressor. This one here is the top of the engine room compartment, which kind of becomes galley surface. This is the top of the chain locker, and over here we got a floor in the sink cabinet. Now they're all primed and they're just curing in the sun so that I can sand them. We have many different things going on at the moment. That is to prepare the boat for the move and also to move the current workshop along with it. Just the tools and everything that is scattered right now. One of the things that we're focusing on is to actually install as many of the things that belong to the boat as possible, and that is so we don't have to transport those items loose. This is the old electrical panel. Not sure yet if we're going to use it or not, because I'm still debating if it's going to go here or over the chart table. But I am trying to finish the top of the engine room right now, so I got to know the spacing here, and so that this still hinges in case we use it. So it's back in for now.
How difficult is it to remove tapes after varnish?
So difficult. Yeah. And ideally, we would have to remove it more often and place it again, but we're doing a bit of a compromise here.
I spoke to myself last night in a dream. I was about 21, it was the craziest thing. I went to a party with all of my friends, and it brought tears to my eyes to see us together again. And I tried to tell them the way that things change, but they wouldn't listen to me. They all started walking away. So I sung them a song of the beauty of youth. And I brought the rhythm back in, and I told them the truth. I couldn't tell you where this road will lead, if it winds or how it ends. But this is alive as we will ever be, 'cause we will never be this young.
Way better now. It's literally scraping down the teak as we speak.
Yeah, no, it is. Alright, ready to go. Putting it in with Sikaflex, which might not be the ideal choice, but it is what we have, and this really has to progress.
What would be the ideal choice?
I say not ideal because it is not only a sealant but also an adhesive, and we are hoping not to get it out, but yeah, famous last words, right? Ready for boot?
I am so happy that's in.
Yeah, me too.
Careful. Is the sink strong enough for that?
Before.
Jeez. If only the manufacturer of the sink could see it now.
Sponsored.
No, it was not sponsored.
Installation per manual. It's just that once it's clamped, the cleanup is harder and the tape removal.
Ooh, tapes are gone. So pretty. As soon as those clamps are gone, but we'll remove the clamps tomorrow or something. How long does this take to dry?
This is the fast cure, but still, let's do tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'm so blown away by all the finishing work that you did. The varnish on those looks amazing.
Wow.
And I really like the countertop treatment that you did. These look amazing too. Yeah.
Thanks, Teeny.
You're the varnishing queen.
Oh dear. Good morning, Aladino.
Good morning.
You have been a busy bee yesterday. I have to say,
Actually, 2 days now, I think.
2
since last time.
well, 6 months now, really, if we're being honest about it. But yesterday I was inside varnishing and you were routering the cockpit, so the whole boat
Perfect
was
combination.
It was so loud.
Somebody's varnishing and the other person is sanding and grinding.
Well, we had lots of dust protection up,
Yeah.
but
It's working all right. You were doing the overhead.
yeah.
But yeah, I have started my archaeological excavations here, which doesn't make sense on something newly built, but that's how it goes sometimes. If I had these hatches a little earlier, then of course I would have incorporated it more during the build. I took the router to the plywood just to have these recessed. I could have just glued them on top, but then we would have had this all raised a little bit, so I am happier about this. I still have to do some cleanup, but then basically the idea is to glue them down, have them flush, and then fiberglass over everything.
So yesterday I did 2 coats on one side of the overhead in the saloon and only 1 coat on the other side. So it's still within the recoat time, so I'm going to go do a second coat on the port side of the saloon. The only reason that I'm varnishing the overhead, it's already epoxied, is just to give the epoxy just a little bit of UV protection that the varnish offers, and then we'll finish it off with the satin finish as always to give it that nice sort of beautiful luster without that high gloss sort of look. I'm also going to continue doing the settee berth. Another day of exactly the same. Let's get to it.
I love you for who you are and for the passions that you have. And given the time restrictions, you've been dragged into it. I'm sorry, baby. Let's come up with a plan. Let's take a break.
For the past several days, I've been varnishing while there's power tools reverberating the whole boat, and headphones do only so much to prevent that. And I just broke. It was that sound and just so much of it. There's just so much going on. So we actually had a patron of ours leave this really insightful comment about goalposts being moved. And when you're really pushing yourself towards a deadline, you can push and you can push and you can push, knowing that that deadline is going to arrive, and then things can calm down. You need that release. And his comment was about real burnout. Very often happens when that goalpost moves, and then you get to that supposed deadline, and all of a sudden it's shifted forward, and you just have to keep going. And that is where you can really burn out. And I think that's what's happened to me. When we got back to this boat, we really had the idea of at least being in the water at the end of our 6-month visa stay. And that was a really finite time with a really exact deadline stamped in our passports. And now we're not. And we've worked as hard as we can, and that's okay. But I haven't played violin in 6 months, and I haven't sort of done those things that make me feel like myself. And I was so looking forward to regaining that sense of myself at the end of this, And now instead, we do still have just so far to go, right? I mean, we've come so far, and I certainly recognize how far we've come. But until we actually have a livable boat that we can live on, it's a long, long way to go. And I think that was really settling in and really affecting me. And so I was just sort of on the limit, and little things, or maybe not so little things, depending on your perspective, could just really set me off. So yeah, if you're not a person that intrinsically loves this kind of work, which I do know many of you watching are, and which Aladino is, it's hard to dedicate yourself to it to this degree for so long. And once we move to Canada, I am really looking forward, and I think it's almost necessary that we reevaluate the balance being struck, and at least I create a new balance in life between work and life.
Not sure if it is more visible, but maybe now you can understand better how my waterproofing concept is going to be. I glassed this last side, and I have the glass wrapping around because there is glass lapping around in the opposite direction. Things to keep in mind here for me: I'm setting myself a few alarms because glassing surfaces is good and well and easy, but whenever you have pretty sharp corners, I did round them over, but nonetheless the glass wants to lift. This is pretty heavy cloth. The thinner the easier, and then it stays, but the heavier the cloth, the more strength it has, so if you bend it, it tries to bend back. There's a term, I forget. It bounces back. So the idea of the alarms is, as the epoxy is curing more, it becomes a little thicker, so then hopefully it's still malleable and I can press it down. So basically I'm just coming back to check for voids. First of all, I want to have this void free, but then this overlapping glass, ideally I would want it to stick to the surface. Right, it is a while later, and I've checked on the glass a couple of times. It is getting there. Now I'm going to add 2 little strips, like I said, just in the gutters. And while I have that epoxy mixed, I think I might as well mix a big batch, and then I'm gonna add fillers to that batch, because both rear hatches here, they are ready to go.
Taking too many hits the first time, bury everything alive.
also working on the door, which is going to separate the head and the saloon. And today I'm going to start working on the cabinets which get installed above the settees in the saloon. The finished result on these settees especially is actually quite good. I think it turned out really, really well. A very smooth finish. There's not a single drip, run, or sag, so I'm quite pleased about that. I used a brush that really does not have a very deep well. It's quite a thin brush, like width-wise. And I think that really helped because it doesn't accumulate extra varnish. Sort of what you put on the brush is what you get. And then I tipped it using a foam brush, actually moving with the grain. And that seemed to turn out really, really well.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
Nice.
It really turned out nicely. And I wanted this to be nice because when we install the lighting, which we have already designed, and actually we have all the light fixtures that we're going to use. We're going to put LED strips here to sort of highlight and create that space on the floor. So this will actually be quite highlighted. And up here, I mean, working overhead is really difficult. So when you look closely, there is an awful lot of imperfections, but from a distance, it looks really nice. And we're
this
gonna
is
leave it at that.
mostly protection because it is going to be a bookshelf. I love how the settees though turned like into new plywood.
Yeah, it's certainly a big change from how it was before. I never liked this teak
It
plywood,
looks rejuvenated.
but now it looks okay.
All right, really happy how the cockpit is progressing. Amazing progress in just 1 week, if I might say so myself. But yeah, the hatches arrived, got installed, glued in, fiberglassed over, all in this week. Of course, before executing, I was a little worried about the camber, but it didn't amount to that much, and especially by setting the hatches into the plywood, yeah, they ended up being really nice, and eventually a flush result. I also can't say enough good things about Total Fare from Total Boat. It's really pleasant to work with. It's just a perfect consistency. Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. It's been a busy week, and let's see what we get up to next week. But I wanted to thank you all for being here, for commenting, and big thanks to our patrons, and especially to the names now appearing on the screen, for making sure that we can keep making these videos. All right, everybody, thank you so much, and we'll see you next Friday.